Hey everyone, my name is James and welcome back to ChippyGaming. So very quick Terraria news video tonight. We just got the latest state of the game, and although very light on spoilers with the end of the year fast approaching, this one does give us a better look at the timings for the update. So as always, let's jump into it. To begin then, Relogic wrote, the teams remain hard at work on adding /tweaking /fixing content for Terraria 1.4.5. The finish line is starting to take shape, though we admittedly do have a couple of decent-sized ideas we want to discuss internally and decide if we should take those on before we say for certain. How's that for vague? All that said, we're pretty excited for what is in Terraria 1.4.5 already. What we know is still to be added and what may or may not be yet to come. Just a little while longer. Moving on to the PC section, they wrote, as we mentioned in the opening of the state of the game, the team has the final list in hand, as well as a few possible additional things that we might include, which we'll decide in the next couple of weeks, and is hard at work with getting all of that content together. Terraria 1.4.5 has turned into quite an update, far exceeding our initial intent to just do the Dead Cells content. We know the update process has been longer than usual or anyone expected, but the end is in sight and we hope that it will not be much longer before we can get and give a sense of timing. We had a few spoilers in mind for this month, but none of them really felt right and/or are things that we may not want to spoil at all before the update drops. So, that being the case, no spoilers from the PC side this month, I'm afraid. Well, to break this section down and just give my personal thoughts here, it seems like, to me, Relogic are saying in one way or another that this update likely will not release in 2024. Of course, they aren't saying that outright, but what they are telling us is that they have a final list of things that they want to add to the update, but they still want to have an internal talk about some larger ideas that could potentially make it into the update, and as mentioned, those will happen over the next couple of weeks. Typically, from what I can remember, when Relogic say that they're close to the end of an update, it doesn't normally mean weeks, it usually means months. And you all know I say that as a very patient player. I always acknowledge the fact that these updates are completely free, and I don't want them to rush this update, like, even in the slightest. But what they've brought up, once again, is very interesting to me, because here we are at the somewhat end of an update cycle, and it seems like they do have bigger ideas that could potentially work into, once again, this supposedly small update. This update has been in development for quite some time, as you all know, and at no point have they said, oh, there's potential here that this update might turn into Terraria 1.5. You know, so far, they've really stuck to their guns that this is 1.4.5. But with that being said, I do feel like we are fast approaching 1.5 territory. I'm really shocked they haven't renamed this update yet. It's funny because the update name is simply that. It's just an update name. If they change it to 1.5, nothing really changes. The update still is what the update is, if that's not confusing. But after a certain amount of time and a certain amount of content, I do believe Relogic owe it to themselves to deliver this update to the community packaged as a larger thing, so that people do know that this is a larger update, which, as we've seen from the many spoilers, this is a big update. But yeah, in conclusion, in my opinion, this is Relogic somewhat softening the blow that the update won't be out this year. I will say though, if this is the first Terraria update you followed along with, up until Relogic give a definitive day, as in it's coming out on this exact day, they do not count potential years as release dates. As we learned with 1.3.5, every year was going to be a very exciting year for Terraria, but that update took over 3 years. half of you that watch these news videos aren't actually subscribed, so this likely is the first update you've followed along with. And if you do want to be kept up to date and you don't want to rely on YouTube recommendations, as in this could potentially be the final video you ever see from me because YouTube just doesn't serve you another one, make sure to actually hit that subscribe button. And if we get a release date or anything cool, you'll be the first to know. There is a spoiler though, because in the banner for the state of the game, we can see a new item on the ground, and it looks like a little Game Boy. Moving on to console and mobile news, DR Studios did have something really cool to show. One such area of focus has been around the issue of the screen feeling cluttered, especially on devices with smaller screens, due to the number of control buttons that are needed to enable a fully operational control scheme for Terraria. We've brainstormed a lot of ways to tackle this issue, and we feel like we've landed on a pretty good new option for players: radial buttons. These new radial buttons let you combine up to 4 different actions in one button. Our main goal with them is to help cut down on clutter, as well as to better associate related actions in defaults. For example, combining potions and cursor options together in their own radial buttons. These support quick swipe gestures if you want to instantly use something, and are fully customizable by the player. These will eventually be accommodated by a new default scheme, but there is a lot of discussion and iteration that needs to happen before we can show that to you.